Hello, my name is Lyndon Mulcahy-Parker. I'm here from Audio Reward, and I'm going to do this walkthrough of our latest product, Orchestrata. Orchestrata is a dual voice orchestral ROMpler for Kontakt 5.70 and above. What does that mean? Well, Orchestrata is not really aimed at replacing your multi-gigabyte, very expensive, very large orchestral sample library. I guess you know which vendors will provide those for you. We're aiming at a slightly different niche, if you will. We'd like to provide you with a set of orchestral sounds that you can pass through the kind of audio reward way of doing things in order to generate new and unique and interesting orchestral-like sounds. Sometimes they won't sound very much like an instrument, sometimes they will. It's entirely up to you. We put a lot of control at your disposal in this product. Okay, so when you install and authorize Orchestrata, then open it up. This is the interface that you will see. It's a dual voice ROMpler, as I've said, so there are two voice sections. These controls over this side manage voice 1, these controls over this side manage voice 2, and there's some central common controls in the middle. So the first thing you're probably going to want to do is select a voice or a sound to play in a voice. And you can do that by stepping forwards and backwards through these if that's your thing, but most likely you'll click on the name and see the selection dialog. You'll see there are 12 instruments that we've sampled for Orchestrata, and for each of these instruments there are a set of articulations. So the articulations change depending on the instrument, obviously, but in all cases we've recorded a large section, which we've denoted with an LG, and a small section, SM, and a solo version, SO. So large pizzicato cellos, large tremolo, so small, which is probably a bit quieter, and solo. So as you can see, you can audition different articulations in this interface, part of the interface, and once you've got something you like for this voice, just click this to dismiss the dialogue. It's exactly the same for voice 2, clicking forwards and backwards and using the selection dialog. You can use exactly the same instrument and section size and articulation in both cases if you want, but obviously you don't have to. One of the things that we think is good about Orchestrata is the fact that you can combine different kinds of sounds from different instruments to get a new sort of sound. So beneath the voice selection controls are the key range controls. For keys that you press and only voice 1 will sound, we colour them blue, and for keys which you press only voice 2 will sound, we colour yellow, and for keys where both voices will sound, we colour green. So down here will be just the cellos, and up here just the flutes. And here in the middle, both. Below the key ranges are the main and filter tabs. I'll turn the volume of this voice off so we can hear the effects. In the main tab, we have volume, pan, pitch, attack, and release. They're all pretty standard. And what I'll do is just make sure we've got everything covered everywhere. So we've got a nice wide range to play with. So the volume controls. The pan. and pitch. So we can have the pitch detuned by 3 octaves or tuned up 3 octaves, which is kind of quite high versus quite low. So you can get some kind of strange sound design sort of things. Going on. If you control click these, they will all jump back to their default setting. The probably most useful for pitch, but the other thing that's useful in the pitch control is if you go to if you alt click the pitch control, it will jump to the nearest semitone. So here we are at 12.24, we'll jump to 12 semitones. And then control click again, we'll jump us straight back. Attack, pretty normal sort of attack and release controls, envelope style. Same thing for release. There we go. Below these, this section, the sends. There are 4 different send levels that you can set, and each of these will send the signal out to the send effects page. The send effects page has 4 slots. You can choose any of these different effects, and it will be loaded into that particular slot. So you can have all reverbs if you felt like it. Or all delays, or any combination that you would like, basically. Click on the number and it will turn it off again. As I say, the sends are controlled in terms of the amount of sent from each voice by these controls. Okay, below the send controls are 4 convolution spaces. Each of these is a different convolution reverb with different amounts of essentially reverb tail. You can have them on or off, but just one at a time. Below the spaces are our standard set of gate controls, one for each voice, so entirely independent. You can have them on or off or configured entirely independently for each voice. Let's turn on this one, or turn the number of steps down to something that's probably more reasoned and easy to deal with quickly to show you how this works. Turn it on. I can change the tempo. As you saw, I can change the number of steps. I can turn re-trigger on. So if I set this like this, and whilst holding down a chord, I press another note, it will restart the gate. If I turn on envelope, I get a per step envelope, so it gets much more definition in each step. Volume, which is the standard sort of gate effect, isn't the only one we have here. We can have low pass filter gate, a high pass filter gate, pass, a distortion, a lo-fi, or a formant filter. This set of controls is obviously duplicated over here, so they can run entirely independently, and you can save and load different configurations of gate setup. Okay, in the middle section we have these controls, and at the top are the scene controls. Orchestrata has 3 scenes, A, B and C, and you can morph between each scene using this control. So let's just see what that effect is. So this control in the middle will affect and morph between these 3 scenes for any control that is added in. So if we take everybody out and we move this, nothing happens. If we just put this one single volume in, then that's the only thing that's going to move. But if we put both of them in, and the pans, and the pitch too, then all 3 of these would move as we moved between each of the scenes. You can jump between the scenes, and as you can see, the controls are jumping to their position, or you can morph between them. Okay, so how do you set up a scene? You have to go to one of them, A, B, or C, otherwise it won't record. But once you are in one spot, you click the mix button, and it turns red to mean it's recording. And any setting you have for any of these controls, let's do that, and then go to B and make that go that way, and this way. At this point, we've added in the pitch controls, and they're going to move along with the morphing control. So let's try it. Just probably sound horrible. Doesn't sound great in terms of standard orchestral stuff, but it's interesting effect. So that's the mix controls, or the scene controls. Next is the drift control. So let's maybe set this to something that's maybe slightly easier to hear the kind of drift. Okay, so we play the bassoon with the drift off, and when we turn it up, the instrument will slowly start to drift in and out of tune with itself, mostly out of tune. So, and all the way over here. So, yeah, quite out of tune, so a very strange and odd sound. Okay, next under the drift control is randomize. Just click this button and it will give you a random voice and articulation random instrument and articulation in each voice, random settings for volume, pan and pitch, and maybe even some filter stuff. So it's just a quick way to get new and interesting things happening. So the final control we haven't spoken about in the interface is this Unison control. Unison's probably something we see a lot on synths, and it allows you or adds in a second slightly detuned version of the voice to give it a slightly fatter sound. So here we are normally, and here we are in unison. So just a slightly wider sound. Okay, the last thing to say then, seeing as we've covered I think everything in the interface, is that we ship with a whole bunch of snapshots in different sections: brass, string, woodwind and other. Brass is fairly obviously what that is. Let's try one, see what it sounds like. Try a string. I really like this one. Woodwind also. Once it loads. And finally, these quote-unquote others, which are just things that probably don't sound too much like a normal orchestral instrument. And there you go, they don't. That's it. Hope you really enjoy and like Orchestrata. It's available, if not now, then really soon, from Kontakt Hub. Usually we have some sort of sale on at the start for the first month, so watch out for that. Anyway, I hope you really enjoy the product. Take care. Bye-bye.